welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name's Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend Brianna Mosier.
Hi.
The intention of this show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core. As always, I'm excited about this content. We're going to talk a little bit about some distinctions or make some distinctions, especially on the feminine side. We'll dive into that in just a second. Before that, I want to introduce ourselves, and then we'll get to it.
Yes. My name's Bri. My work in the world is helping really high-achieving driven women embrace their feminine energy, heal and clear past trauma so they can break patterns in their dating and relationship experience and start allowing in healthy, secure, thriving, polarized love. That's the work in my world. I do it through somatic-based healing work, expanding your sense of pleasure, getting you back in your body, all the things. So that's my work in the world. Courtney's is similar but different.
I work with men. I love working with men to really help him embody the confidence and self-assurance that he needs to show up in the dating space. And really the problem I love solving is helping you identify and show up as a compatible partner for the men who are looking for lifelong partnership, who you need to be showing up as the version of yourself, and also who you need to be looking for. Creating that compatible match is like one of my favorite problems to help my clients with. So we do that again through the somatic based work and really helping you integrate the things in your body that have been a little bit off and helping you show up a little bit more congruently and therefore more confidently. So.
Our clients would be such good matches.
I know.
Just saying.
We've been saying it for a long time.
It'll happen. It'll happen. We'll do something about this. We've had some thoughts of potentially a mixer for those who listen to the show because you guys need to find each other. People who listen to the show need to find each other.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I love this so much. Okay.
Shall we get into it?
Yes, let's dive in. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, a long-awaited topic between Courtney and I, kind of waiting for the right moment of like, when do we feel like it's time to bring this to the table? This phrase that we hear so often, particularly from women, if I'm too much, go find less. And I think the phrase at its best is rooted in being more expressive and being more authentic and being more of who you are and not settling to be with someone who doesn't have capacity to hold and see all of you. So that is the purity of it. And like any phrase or coaching or medicine, if it's given to someone who it's not intended for, it can actually exacerbate some less than secure and inviting tendencies into your relationship. So let's just start at the beginning of that. Who is this message really empowering for? And who does it bring out, does it hold back actually in their development?
Great. Yeah. Great distinction.
So you've got this spectrum, right? And on one side, we have what we would say is this like highly conscientious good girl. She's adapting to everyone else in the room. This is when you're having people-pleasing tendencies, when you're really focused on making sure everyone likes you. You tend to overextend, overgive. You tend to perform to make sure everyone likes you because you see that as safety. And she's aware naturally of other people's needs and how they're feeling. Sometimes even, I notice in my clients, a lot of my clients fall in this category, very hypervigilant of other people's moods and energies. So she's going to be someone who comes in the room and is naturally adapting to the room. And I'll just leave that there. On the other side of the spectrum, you have women who are people who have what they would call big personalities. They would say, I'm just very expressive. I'm very authentic. I just need to say what I'm thinking or say what I'm feeling. I'm just unfiltered. I'm just raw. I'm just real. And typically they are coming in rooted in their self-expression and what they think and how they feel. And they kind of ask the room to adapt to them. So sometimes they can miss social cues when that expression is, what's the right word I'm looking for? Overwhelming other people, perhaps. So this is your spectrum, and you could fall anywhere in between here. You've got, I adapt to everyone in the room naturally to the point where I stifle my self-expression sometimes, and I expect other people to adapt to me to the point where sometimes I lose attunement to the room itself, and then it holds me back interpersonally and socially. That's the spectrum we're in. And we want to help you learn to fall in the pro-social middle piece where you become a safe and healthy person to connect with. And you don't push other people away. You actually invite them to come closer to you. What do you have to say about this?
Ooh, a lot of it. Yeah, thank you for clearing that.
Yes.
All of our notifications.
It's okay. She's very popular, she can't help it.
I love that because when we hear this phrase, it feels really empowering of like, oh, if I'm too much, go find less. But the problem is it's only empowering for a certain segment of people. The other people, it's actually unconsciously enabling not pro-social behaviors. Because what you're trying to do is to feel really seen, to feel known, and for people to come close to you. That is, I think, the underlying desire by expressing yourself at that level. When we're talking about authentic expression, it is so that you are seen and known and inviting the right people towards you. The problem is when you go about it in this way, where you're on the side of the spectrum that's like, if I'm too much, go find less. It's the same as the well-meaning, high standards woman. It's like a little bit off, like a half an inch to the left, you would be on target. But because you're just using this as it's almost like that confirmation bias of like, oh, finally, someone gets it. Proof that I get to just continue doing this. It's not necessarily healthy behavior is the problem. Yes, you can continue expressing, but what you're trying to do is invite people towards you. And what you're actually accomplishing is pushing people away. You want to allow for them to step towards you in proximity instead of kind of like blasting them with your truth and being unfiltered and raw. Yes, it is going to bring the right people towards you, but they are going to probably be on the other end of the spectrum, people who are very good at adapting and not speaking up. And if that's, harmonious between the two of you, cool. But we are offering this middle ground of both of you have the medicine that the other person needs. This person on the adaptable end of the spectrum needs to see what it looks like and learn how to speak up more and express themselves more. And you can also learn on the other end of the spectrum of if I'm too much, go find less, what it means to be attuned to and aware of the environment that you're co-creating and really own and be a little more responsive to the environment that you are setting the tone for.
So well said. I think that is inherently the maybe the downfall of this phrase is when it gets into the hands of someone that it does just end up enabling patterns that are keeping them from having safe, healthy relationships. And what we really try to teach on the show, and we're both actively trying to grow this skill set at the same time, by the way, is that there are ways to communicate and be in social situations that will, like Courtney's saying, invite people to come closer to you because they feel safe with you. So if you feel like you're falling more on the like big personality, unfiltered side, what might be helpful to start being aware of is that it can be overwhelming to other people's nervous systems to come in with big energy when the room might be in a more quiet, relaxed space, right? Or if you're having an opinion or an emotion or something coming out, it's actually pro-social to learn how to say what you're meaning to say without defensiveness or just unfilteredness or I just need to say it. It might be easier and it feels good because it always feels good. Venting feels good when you're upset, right? It feels good to just be like, and they did this and this and this and I'm upset and ugh. But it's actually a child energy coming through when that happens. And when we kind of pull into this adult energy, yes, you get to say what is true for you, but there's a way to distill it down and containment, which we'll talk about, and contain it and deliver it so that people can actually hear you and they can still connect with you. They're not overwhelmed. They can be present with you and they can hear you. And that's ultimately what you're wanting, actually, is to be heard and to connect. There are skills that can help you do that and still feel authentic in your expression. And then you invite people in. It's so much better.
I love that because the point is that you're trying to create connection. It's the same as the idea of like trauma dumping. Yes, it feels good to unburden yourself And now you've created this, you've dropped it in someone else's space, and you're kind of asking them to pick up the pieces for you instead of taking true ownership and responsibility. And part of that is, I always think there's a responsibility to you as the speaker, for the listener. What's actually the impact of what you're sharing? There is an impact of what and how you're sharing. And when you are really taking ownership of how you're sharing, you are aware of the impact that you are creating. And again, the end of the spectrum who's playing a little bit too small and not in fear of creating that impact. We're not talking to you right now. Give us a second. We'll come back to you. But that you have to be aware of, and this is where the containment piece is helpful, because there are boundaries that are needed to create a sense of safety around you. That's what invites people towards you. When you're just like blasting out, it's like trying to, I always say, like take a sip out of a fire hydrant. Like it just feels that way of like, I needed a cup full, and you just like blasted someone with this either emotional charge or just kind of like unprocessed or unfiltered expression, which there is, again, a time and a place for. And I think the counterintuitive piece is that the more you get sensitive to and aware of the boundaries, actually the less filtration you need, because you are both filtering out people who can't calibrate to that level with you and hold that space with you, and you are also containing yourself enough that those people are able to digest what you're sharing. So the impact is correct in that they're like, got it, I see you, I can contain this, I can absorb it, digest it, and be with you in it. And now we have an actual connection, instead of you just like blasting people, them having to adapt and like step over and around all of the stuff you just dumped everywhere. And then they're like, well, here we both are, who's going to clean it up? I guess I will. And you're like, awesome, thank you. And then you move on. Like the more times you repeat that cycle, that's not actually a healthy connection cycle. You've stepped over the connection, which is what you were trying to accomplish in the first place.
Yeah, well said. And these two people find each other.
Yeah. Well, yes.
They're magnetized to
natural.
each other.
Yes.
Because you have one person who's always adapting to the room, and this is an easy person for her to adapt around. And then you have this person who's used to people adapting around them, and she's going to find somebody that is going to adapt around her. So what you were saying in the beginning, they both have the medicine that each other needs, I think is the most empowering lens. If you find yourself in these dynamics, the unfiltered big personality is teaching the highly conscientious girl to have more expression and speak her mind more and loosen the filter. Right now, her filter is like letting a drop of the dam through. She's like, will you take this and still like me? Can I say this one part? She needs to learn to let other people experience more of her and more of how she feels and trust they can handle it. If you fall in that camp, my work would be really helpful for you, actually, because that's what I help women with all the time. And if you're falling in more of this camp of like big personality unfiltered, the filter, as we continue to say, continues to make things, I don't want to say palliable, because that's not the goal. It's still your pure expression. It just becomes pro-social. You're able to be heard as you both lean into these ways and find that healthy middle ground. Yeah.
It's like the quantity, quality, and volume of it is appropriate for the situation. That's where the ask is for the if I'm too much, go find less personality, is, are you being accountable to what's appropriate for the situation? That's really, you are, we talked about this a couple episodes ago of like, are you the center of the solar system, or are you someone who typically vacates the center of your orbit and lets other people kind of step into that space? If that's the case, you're kind of spilling over into someone else's solar system. And to fix that, we need to actually like say, hey, I am over here and I'm able to contain myself. I have enough outgoing boundaries that I'm able to regulate how much information is going out at any given moment, and let other people fill some space too. So there is a little bit of, I think it was Pia Melody, I can't even remember, but she said there's like kind of an element of, you do have to kind of suck in a little bit as you're getting close to someone. You have to hold your boundary, and then you can start to relax it as you see theirs. You can both start to fill the space and get closer and closer in proximity, but you can't just like go spill in someone else's space and expect them to want to come closer to you, because now they're either picking up the pieces or they're like, well, that's over there, that's yours. It feels a little bit like you're not willing to be accountable for what is yours. And I think that's actually the ask too, is it's like, yes, be fully expressed. And the next level of full expression is to be accountable for the impact of your expression and what is actually healthy and appropriate for the situation.
Well said.
Yeah.
So let's give them some skill sets. If you're like, okay, I'm obviously not the highly conscientious girly. I'm more on the unfiltered, big personality. I want to be raw and real. And I don't want to push people away. I want to be someone who's safe to connect with. What are the skills that she can start implementing that will open up a lot more space for connection and closeness from other people?
I think, again, having the skill is just discerning the appropriateness of what you're sharing. Does this match what the situation is asking for? And it's kind of like taking inventory of what's happening in the room, in the space, being a little bit more socially aware and responsive to the social scene. We always say, like, read the room. You are actually needing to take accountability for your personal space. And I think this is hard because this is a little bit intangible, but it is a really, I guess, practical way to see this is like to watch the actual experience or expression on someone else's face as you're being raw and real. Like, is their body language, I think, will show you what is happening. If they are like shrinking a little bit, or if they look kind of glazed over, if their face goes a little bit neutral for a second, they may feel a little bit stunned and like, I don't know what to do with all this. This is a lot. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a reflection of like you've done something wrong, but can it be a recalibration moment where you get to say, maybe that wasn't necessarily appropriate at that velocity for this situation. Next time I might try it at a 80% tone and see how that lands. If that actually invites someone to be included in the conversation, or if that allows someone else to fill that space too. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I was going back to the highly conscientious girly in my head for a minute. Let me just write it down so I don't forget. Sometimes this happens. Okay. I think reading the room is such an important skill, and attuning to other people, just like what you're saying, reading how is this landing, and if they are getting overwhelmed or if they are getting triggered at the same time, this is a great skill to have in any interpersonal relationship dynamic. Sometimes when one person is triggered and they share in a way that isn't as thoughtful, it can counter trigger the other person. And then that person starts to have lots of things come up. And if we're both just ground into, well, I just want to express, there's actually no winning in that situation. That is when you just end up doing this. And if we don't take notice of our activation levels and go get what we need, whether it is space or to move your body and somatically release, then you will just continue to do this. And it can cause injury in the relationship. So we often say, and I hear you say this all the time, the person with the knowledge or the awareness is the responsible party in that moment to make a different decision and say, you know what, let's take a pause or let's take a break. These are going to be skills that might take a little while to develop, but they are going to be things that invite people in and actually help you solve conflict and help you get close with people faster. Which is what you're wanting, right? That's what you were saying. Like, trauma dumping is when really people are just trying to hotwire a connection most of the time. Or they're trying to get it off of them. And that can be really uncomfortable because it feels like, I don't want to use a gross analogy.
Commiserating?
Sure. Yeah. It's a nicer way to put it. I was just thinking of like, you take it.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. And Courtney would be like, I didn't ask. What? What do you mean? What do I do with this? And if I were to do that, I would physically see Courtney, her body pull back, her face shut down. I would hear hesitancy in her voice. That would be a good read to me that like maybe I gave too much. And it's okay if you make that misstep.
Yeah.
if that happened to me, I would be saying, oof, I think I just trauma dumped on you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. And just naming it is exactly how you pivot in that moment. Just own it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about it's not about holding back. It's about gauging appropriateness and acknowledging that you're figuring this out. That's where I was going to say is the skill is actually just to acknowledge what you're doing. I know, in actually Allison Armstrong's work, she's got kind of a model around complaining, and it's brilliant. Go look it up. But one of the things that really impacted me on that is like to acknowledge to thank the other person. So like there's a lack of reciprocity in this dynamic where it's if I'm too much, go find less, and the other end of the spectrum is like I'm adapting to everyone. A really simple cleanup is for the if I'm too much person to just acknowledge and appreciate the adaptation that the other person has been doing. That will actually, and this is where the person with the more conscious person, the person with the awareness, the person who's learning about these things, you're going to have a tendency to feel frustrated and be like, I don't want to do your emotional labor for you. Well, guess what? That is what that's what relationships and partnership are for. There is a generosity that's required if you're going to be in partnership with someone, that I am going to be doing a certain amount of emotional labor. The miss where you're saying, I don't want to do your emotional labor for you, is that it's not actually a partnership dynamic that you're both agreeing to be in. It is I'm taking care of me and you're taking care of you. That's not actually interdependence. That is two bubbles that are happening to coexist. There isn't actually overlap, which is, hey, I'm willing to do a little bit more emotional labor because I want to invite you closer to me. I want to experience closeness. This is what's required. What do you require in order for you to experience closeness and safety? That's the conversation that's not being had because you are both operating in this like hyper protection bubble space. So even something simple of acknowledging, hey, I'm figuring this out. I'm learning where the line is for me of how much is appropriate to share. And I really appreciate, I'm guessing that you've probably been, for lack of a better word, adapting to my full expression. And I really appreciate that you have made it safe enough for me to be so vocal and so expressive. How can I help invite you into being more expressive and vocal too? Or if you're on the other side of it, to say, hey, wow, thank you for showing me what it means to be so vocal and expressive. I want to try this on for size 2. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more of myself and see how we can play together in this. How does that feel? That is bridging these two bubbles. That's like creating a little bit of overlap where you are saying, hey, I'm willing to do the social element here with you of like, I'll adapt, I'll clean up this spill. And in return, I need to be practicing a little bit more forward-facing assertiveness. And I would make a request that you are able to adapt to that too. How does that sound? Now we're talking partnership language and not two people who are just coexisting in a room.
And enabling each other's behavior patterns. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hiding from doing the work. I love what you're saying. The point that really sticks out to me is, how do I put this concisely? That it's about the reciprocity. And so in the enabled dynamic, this big personality is kind of just doing whatever they want and spilling, and the other highly conscientious person is sucking in all the time and adapting. That isn't going to feel good. And realistically, it doesn't feel good. Obviously, it doesn't feel good to the highly conscientious person. They're usually more aware that it doesn't feel good, but struggling to advocate for that because of their own fears. And for that big personality person, it doesn't feel as good as you don't yet know it can feel. Right? It feels good in the moment because you get to, but what actually feels better is when you share and somebody really holds it with you and you feel connection and you're like, oof, they've got it. They heard me. They're with me. That is the connection you're looking for. That's how good it gets to feel. So things smooth out very quickly when you start offering space to hold for them as well. And this person expresses a little more. Now you have that reciprocity and it's a dance instead of just one person and one person adapting and enabling. Right? It's like what we always say, a half step to the left. This person opens up bandwidth to hear the other person, to be a little more attuned, to learn how to be with their emotions on their own. And then this person learns to express more. And when you're learning to be with your emotions on your own, I think that's kind of the key for this type of woman who has the big personality. Yeah. Right? How do you, when you do get triggered or you have a really big opinion, or you have a lot of, I'll just say that. When you get triggered or you have a really big opinion and it's like coming through your body, you can feel it, like your heart's racing, the energy's there. Do you know how to be with that and lead yourself in the moment so that you're not just spewing it at whoever's in front of you, but can I honor what I'm feeling and learn to move the energy and distill it down and then get clear on what is my actual need? What's really underneath this for me that I'm wanting support or connection around? That's going to be something that invites somebody in to hear. That filter is taking out all of the poisonous bits that can hurt other people or feel overwhelming to other people. And then you just get the purity of it and you can connect with someone. Make sense?
The distillation process.
Exactly.
We have, if you're wondering about this, we have a masterclass where we talk about handling conflict, and we go through a distillation process to help you really get centered and clear in what your emotions are communicating with you that you need to invite people into. And it is tough because it all feels like a big swirl in the moment, and it's a big ask to like ground that yourself. That's usually where you need a little bit of external containment, which is what you've been borrowing from the person who's adapting around you. And that's where the acknowledgement gets to come in. I'm just using this language so you can see a little bit more contrast of what has been actually happening. This person has been containing you. You've been borrowing their containment so that you get to feel expressed and seen and validated and, in some essence, safe. And if you want to start bringing that home a little bit more, you're going to have to learn how to start containing yourself, which is the ask of what we're saying. Is there are boundaries in place of how much goes out and what you need to come back in so that you create this bubble around you that allows for people to come in closer proximity and actually connect to you.
Well said.
Thank you.
So the practices for this type of person would be learning to distill that emotion. Courtney or I have things that, in both of our work, we could support a client who was struggling with this, how to feel through and distill. Reading the room, learning to attune, those are going to be your other ones. And containment, which is like, even though I have all this, not all of it needs to be said in this moment. Usually that leads you to distilling, so then you can communicate in a healthier way. Again, we both have resources that we support clients with. So if you want support with that, feel free to reach out to either of us. You know where to find us on that one. Anything else on this that you feel like is important to share? We always jot out all kinds of
thoughts,
notes, because I'll move it to you. I've seen everything.
Perfect.
We want to make sure that we're hitting everything, but also speaking really thoughtfully about topics like this are important.
Well, the other piece of awareness is to just know that you are co-creating an experience together. And I did a video of like this, the space between the we, between the me's is like what we need to think about of the relationship that we're wanting to create. We talked in the dating apps episode of like being intentional about speaking so that the person that we're speaking to gets to hear what we're saying, not just speaking for the sake of like being heard. It's like, I have a microphone now, everyone's listening to me. Not everyone is going to stay in the room if the performer is just speaking to speak. They're staying in the room because they're captivated by the message, because it's resonating with them, which means the speaker has done some intentional, generous labor to emotional labor to really translate for the listener what is going to land and what's going to include them. Otherwise, we're just blasting. So that's what we want to think about too, is how can we start creating a space around us, especially in a social scene, that invites people in. And that does require a little bit of effort, a little bit of generosity. And again, if you're not someone who is who's way in the if I'm too much, go find less camp, if you're wanting to come towards the middle, it will be acknowledging that there is some emotional labor to be done, and that it is on behalf of what we're creating together. That you're willing to do that is a generosity towards what you're aiming for, and getting clear on what type of connection you're wanting is a good motivator to do that type of labor. Otherwise, it's going to feel like I'm just doing all this emotional labor for everybody, and now I feel resentful, until we zoom out and think like, why are we doing this? What's the bigger picture of what we're wanting to create together? That's going to inform how you're showing up and what type of work you're willing to put in.
I wonder if we need to do a follow-up episode for the highly conscientious girly. Because we've given a lot of resources to big personality who's resonating. And I'm sure if you're on the highly conscientious side, you're like, okay, well, what about me? What are the asks? How am I supposed to expand my expression, right? Because her work is actually to do a little bit less emotional labor and let people be there for her too, and know that it's safe to express and trust other people can handle it. That's it's a different medicine. So for you, if I'm too much, go find less, that actually will feel quite empowering in a lot of moments where you've been dealing with people who don't have capacity or emotional skill set to hold a true, pure expression. You're already making things palatable, a different word altogether. For other people, you're already aware of it could land this way, it could land that way. So your work is going to be very different, and the courageous move for you will be to say, it is okay if my expression doesn't work for somebody. I have to acknowledge other people have limits. They might not be in that place emotionally to have capacity to connect in this way. They might be more reactive, and I have to decide, does that work for me? Does it still feel safe for me to connect? That's a whole nother arena to play in when you're moving out of being too conscientious to the point of stifling your self-expression.
That is a whole episode.
Right? It's a different conversation than this woman, because this woman is containing. She's like a straitjacket containing sometimes, you know?
Yeah. And I'm curious if this, because we were picking some like social media trends. We're like, ooh, this one just keeps coming up. Let's talk about it with a little bit of nuance. I wonder, because when I heard it, I was like, it doesn't resonate for me as someone who was more highly conscientious and needed to step forward a little bit. Like it, yes, it should be empowering, but it didn't actually even hook me.
I know what you mean. Like, what do you mean go find less? What? Not very nice.
Well,
that's how I heard it.
Yeah, it just didn't. I'm trying to even think how when I heard it, I was like, okay, that's clever. I get it in concept, but in practice, I'm like, I would never even resonate with it. So we probably should unpack it for the more conscientious end of the spectrum.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when I hear it, I don't actually feel empowered. I feel like...
I don't feel anything around it, but...
Yeah. In real time, realizing like this could be the medicine for her, but I think it ends up in the hands of people who that's not their medicine. Yeah. At its best, it's just acknowledging people have capacity limits.
What you make it mean.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, obviously, we'll have to follow this up.
Yeah. That's a good place. Let's leave this one.
Yeah.
And we'll follow it up in the next episode.
So if you want more from Courtney, Courtney_Shand, YouTube is where she is at all the time right now, especially if you're involved in men's work. This is your girl.
Thank you.
And you're going from, what do we say, bleeding heart energy to more empowered masculine. I love how you speak about men, that it's literally a half step away, this group of people.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That they're the most eligible partners right now. Yeah.
These are the eligible bachelors. They just aren't seeing themselves in that feedback loop.
Yeah.
The work that we're doing is to really have you step into the kind of center of your world, and then you get that feedback loop, and it is like it can happen in a session. Like, it's incredible.
So cool.
The shifts.
Yeah, our clients need to meet each other. Yeah. Because on the other spectrum, I work with a lot of women who are highly conscientious or very driven and independent and want to learn how to lean in, how to be with their emotions, how to be more in their feminine, how to not have an incessant need for control. Lots of things. They'd be great matches. So anyway, if you'd like more from me, it's Building Bree coaching. And if you loved this episode, please share it with someone. Have a conversation about it. Where do you guys fall? Especially if you have a friendship like this happening, if we're speaking to just the girls in this. If this dynamic's happening, what a cool segue to bring this up and unpack it together without anyone feeling attacked. It's just, here's the information. What do we think about this in terms of our dynamic? So that's it. We'll see you in the next episode.